You are listening to the Sean Hannity Radio Show podcast.
Barack Obama has divided the races in America more than anyone else in the history of America. There are laws in this country that governs and protect all of us as American citizens. And homosexuals and LGBT people are protected under those same laws. We don't need special laws for special people. We all are Americans, and we should all be treated the same under the law. And that's how
Black people significantly less likely to be called back with positive response in when applying to a job with the exact same resume sent out from a white person. White people were 31% likely to get a positive response in this study. Latino people were 25%, and Black people were 15%. Also, if racism doesn't exist, then why, when Black and white people use marijuana at about the same rates, are Black people arrested 4 times more than white people?
These companies, these businesses are looking for qualified folks. They don't care what color you are. They don't care if you are male or female. As long as you're qualified, you can get a job in America. So the studies are lies. Don't fall for them, and don't believe anything that a liberal has to say.
The room right now is too contentious, and obviously the views are provoking a lot of responses. So we've got to shut down the speaker. I apologize to everyone in the room. We cannot ask any more questions because if the questions are going to provoke anything like the last question, they're just not going to do anything. I apologize, and thank you, Reverend, for coming in here and speaking to us. We really appreciate it. I think my heart rate is larger than it's ever been in my entire life, and I apologize if anyone was offended.
All right, 24 now till the top of the hour. We are in Washington, D.C. We're holding them accountable. That is our mission now. We've got to get this accomplished. This is the one opportunity we have. And what you heard there was the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson speaking at the Southern California Junior State of America, or the JSA. And it's like a winter Congress this weekend to a group of about 860 high school students, and supposedly about 60 to 70% liberal. And, well, I heard some hostility there, Jesse Lee Peterson, and it doesn't surprise me. You're not exactly a non-controversial figure. And, of course, he is the founder of Rebuilding the Family by Rebuilding the Man, author of The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. So you were thrown out of the speech that you were giving?
I was. I have to tell you that there were young Republican conservatives there as well, boys and girls, and they were loving it. They were giving me the thumbs up. They were applauding. They were trying to get the liberals to be quiet and allow the speech to happen. I was asked to speak for an hour about conservative issues, the difference between the Obama administration versus President Trump's administration. I was asked to speak about the race issue, and they had a liberal speaker who spoke an hour before I did, and I came on second. And I have to tell you, Sean, it just went out of control. And the interesting thing about it is that the kids, even though they were yelling and screaming, and there was one boy who tried to come up on the stage to attack me, they held him back. They were still challenging me on the issues. They wanted to talk about it. They ran to the mic because they had never heard another point of view like that from a black person. And so they wanted to hear it, but there was one of the organizer or coordinator of this event, Yvonne England, and she is a feminist Obama supporter. And there was a guy by the name of Derek Ditori.
What is a feminist Obama supporter, a he? What is that?
No, well, the woman was a woman, Yvonne.
Oh, I thought you said a guy. I thought you said he. Sorry.
No, there was a guy there, too, who was a liberal as well. The liberal teachers there were getting angry, and they were the ones who got so angry that this woman, Yvonne, came up and tried to drag me off the stage. I had to tell her to take her hands off me because she was assaulting me. And the Republican kids, they were mature. They wanted to know. They were respecting the liberal speaker, but the liberals refused to respect the conservative speaker.
Let me, if I can, back up your comments about the president and how he didn't heal the country along racial lines, because at the same time during his presidency, 4,000 people in Chicago alone were murdered. about 80% of them were black Americans. Yeah. And we barely heard a comment over the entire presidency of Barack Obama about that. And it would have been a good time to do something. It would have been a good time to take the bully pulpit of the presidency on the road and maybe help bring some safety and security, et cetera, to that city, bring some sanity to that city. But instead, he would focus on high-profile race cases without any evidence, without any adjudication of whatsoever. He is an attorney, and he rushed to judgment in the case of Trayvon Martin, and he was wrong. And he rushed to judgment in the case of Ferguson and Michael Brown, and he was wrong. And he rushed to judgment in the case of Freddie Gray in Baltimore and was wrong. And none of this helped the country. So why did he pick high-profile racial instances to advance a narrative or an agenda and ignore the 4,000 dead people in his own city?
I write for Warner Daily, and I wrote about this, how we have the white savior in Donald Trump to come in and save the black community. For the last 50 years, we have had black Americans in power of authority. We have the Congressional Black Caucus, you have the NAACP, you have many black preachers who have major mega churches around the country. You have Louis Farrakhan, Al Sharpton, and all those guys. And Barack Obama comes along, and he has the power of the USA behind him. He's the president of the United States of America. And not over the last 50 years, not one liberal Democrat who's been in power of authority has gone into the urban areas and cleaned out the gang violence and the drugs so that the decent black folks who are stuck in those communities can finally have a relaxation. They can breathe for a minute and start businesses. And I write that the reason that they have not done it is because they don't want to do it. Obama could have just asked the police departments to go in, but he had the National Guard, he had the military. There's a way to solve it, but Sean, they want these people in chaos in the manner that they are, killing one another, relying on the government, having babies out of wedlock, having abortions like 90 going north, because as long as they're in no condition, they can use this false illusion of racism. White folks are trying to keep you down, and that keeps the black folks, some black people, angry. The government come in, and these black leaders, they get power and wealth from that.
The one thing, how does a president embrace a group? How does a presidential candidate like Hillary embrace a group like Black Lives Matter? What do we want dead cops? When do we want them now? They both did. And you're right in the sense that if they wanted to solve that problem in Chicago, that would have been easily solved.
Yeah.
I was really... I really do like what President Trump is doing. It really bothers me that there is this notion that the left has a monopoly of compassion for minorities and women and Hispanics and Latinos and every identity politic group in the country, when in fact they don't. If anything, disproportionately blacks and Hispanics were hurt under the economic plans of Obama. And more importantly, I saw the presidents of these historically black colleges in the White House in the Oval Office today, and maybe it happened under Obama and his administration. I don't remember. But between that, the president discussing sending education back to the states so that we can fix at the education, especially the educational system in inner city America. Yeah. The fact that he's fighting to bring factories back to cities like Detroit, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Philly. That to me, if he does those things, I've got to believe that there's going to be political benefits, because I do believe that the black community, what Trump said during the election was right, that every 4 years they come a calling for the vote, and then there's no delivery. They don't get anything for it.
That's right. Sean, on November 9th, 2016, I woke up early in the morning, turned on Fox News. They said President Trump had won, that Donald Trump had won. I went to Cloud 9, and I've been dancing on the ceiling ever since. In the black community, and I do a lot of work. This is 27 year of my nonprofit. There is hope in the black community for the first time in years. They are feeling good about the president. Now, the representatives don't want you to know that. The media doesn't want you to know that. But there are blacks in the black community who have been Democrats all of their lives. They have seen that nothing has been done to help them, and they finally believe in the president. They believe that President Trump, as a matter of fact, President Trump is the only Republican who have publicly just made black Americans a part of America. He's shown that we're all the same. We're all Americans, and he cares about all of us. And so the people are starting to feel good again, and especially the black men, because they feel now that they're going to be able to get jobs, they're going to be able to buy homes, they're going to be able to get married and be there for their wives and children. They don't have to rely on the government. They don't have to worry about gang violence. So there's a good feeling in the black community around the country, and I hear it all the time.
I'd like to see the translation of votes, but Republicans need to earn it, and they're going to have to be successful. And
yes.
For the president to be successful, that means that many Republicans here in Sin City, USA, Washington, D.C., they're going to have to start doing their job and do it at a high level and do it in a way that benefits people that have been left behind. I mean, I've always called this the forgotten man, forgotten woman election. And it wasn't Hollywood that elected Donald Trump. It wasn't San Francisco. It wasn't D.C. and it wasn't New York. It was Wisconsin. It was Michigan. It was Ohio. It was Pennsylvania. Yeah. And the reason those people, in fact, voted for him is because they have disproportionately been bearing the burden of bad regulation, burdensome regulation, and government overreach and brutally high taxation. And you know, it's hurt them. But stay right there. We'll continue more with Jesse Lee on the other side of this break. 800-941-SEAN, a toll-free telephone number. Right, as we continue, we're in Washington, D.C. Of course, the president addressing a joint session of Congress tonight. Well, I see that Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Congressman John Lewis are not attending tonight. The Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson is with us, founder of Rebuilding the Family by Rebuilding the Man, author of The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. So what do you make of these two congressmen, one congressman, one congresswoman, not going tonight?
It goes to show that these liberals can't handle losing. They have been winning for so long with getting away with their agenda, and finally they are losing, and they don't know how to accept it. But I'm fine with that. I am glad that they now feel and understand, hopefully understand what we have been going through for the last 8 years, seeing our country fall apart in every area. So it's nice to know that they're having pain. So they don't show up, fine. So if they don't want to show up, more room for someone else. More room for you, Sean, and anyone else, because the liberals just can't handle it. I'm okay with that. The one thing I want to tell you quickly about that JSA.
You guys should call Maxine Waters and ask if I can have her seat. Is that allowed? Or maybe I'll call Congressman John Lewis knows me from my years in Atlanta, and I actually have respect for John Lewis.
I don't like the way that he's keeping black Americans from being free by making life a little easier, helping them to overcome what's happening.
I don't know why there's an ingrained mentality. This transcends any racial issue. An ingrained mentality that somehow the government is going to help you. They're not. They can't help you. There's not enough money to help you. The best thing we can do is get them the hell out of the way.
That's right. You know, the one thing I want to tell you, at that conference when I spoke, there were several kids who had not heard that point of view about the Republican Party as opposed to the Democratic Party. So in the hallway, they all gathered out, and they were asking me the difference, and I've heard from some of them since then, and they'd never heard that before. But the adults there, many of the adults, didn't want the kids to have another point
unbelievable.
Of view. They didn't want them to hear it.
I got to run. Jesse Lee Peterson, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Sorry what happened there, but glad you kept plowing through.
Sean, I want to tell you that I am really sorry about Alan Combe. Alan was a liberal, but he was always kind to me, and even though we disagree, I first met him when you and Alan had the show together on Fox News, and every time I was on, he disagreed, but he was always kind. He never got nasty with me, and he had me on his radio show. And I have to tell you, when I heard that he had expired, it just shocked me. It broke my heart. And I'm sorry for your loss, because I know you guys were good friends. And I'm sorry, really, for America's loss. I will miss Alan. It broke my heart.
Yeah, it broke my heart, too. I was at his wake last night, and he's dearly, dearly missed. And he loved you, Jesse, by the way. He fought with you, but I know he had deep respect for you. And thank you for your kind words.
He did. So my prayers are with you, Sean, and your family, and Alan's family. He will be missed.
He will be missed, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, buddy.
All right, when we come back, 800-941-SEAN is our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. When we come back, our news roundup, information overload, and we have more snowflake meltdowns, more follow-up to the Oscars, and then your calls straight ahead.